It's the Halloween edition, bitch. Now I know y'all probably a little concerned because it's not Friday and I'm giving y'all an episode a day early, but it's Halloween. And why wouldn't we start off Halloween with a fucking podcast episode? I want to know, why wouldn't we? That's what I want to know. And when you see this goddamn laptop, that I'm coming with some shit for that ass. When you see the bucket hat and the microphone, and I still can't figure out where to put my microphone. Sometimes I put it over here, sometimes I put it right here. Is it gonna be distracting right here? I feel like y'all gonna be distracted with it right here. So hold on. Let me move it over. I'm gonna play some spooky music while I move it. How's that? I think that's better. Can you see my face better? Can you see my glasses with the ring light in them better? I hate that. I really do. But I hope you guys are enjoying your Halloween festivities and having fun, doing whatever makes you have fun on Halloween. Y'all know what it is. It's your host with the most, the best of the best, the greatest of them all. Your host, Tate Nicole. Back with another goddamn episode. This is episode 14. You heard me? It's a special edition too, because it's a Halloween edition, baby. And I know you're probably wondering, what's this sitting next to me? Don't worry about it. Well, you probably seen it in the beginning if you watched it. That was this. And that was me. I'm getting better with my editing skills. Anyway, I'm sorry. This is why my podcast episodes take so long, because my ass be doing goofy stuff in the beginning of the episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode today. As y'all know, I'm not rattling off the episodes. We done made it to episode 14, and I'm not about to read off 13 other movies to y'all. You better just go click the playlist and watch them, and then you'll know which ones I've done. And then you can tell me which ones you want me to do. But either way, anyhow, howdy day. Once again, it's your girl Tay, back with another one. Let's get it cracking. So, this is episode 14, and I figure since it's a Halloween edition, why not, do something? It's not necessarily a horror film or anything like that. It's what is it considered? Hold on. Let me see. It's a Stephen King a novel turned movie, by the way. Um and just by me saying that, some of y'all know exactly what the movie is based on me saying that. Um It's a psychological drama. I think that's what my sugar bear said it was. But yeah, a psychological drama is what it's called. We're dealing with no one other than The Shining. And see, I'm not gonna lie, my mama scared me at first. I thought this movie was gonna be scary because the way she was pumping it up. It's not even scary. It's just creepy and cringy, and it make you ask a lot of, well, what the and why the. I'm telling you. Okay. But it was a good movie nonetheless. I'm gonna be honest, it's a good movie. The movie was released back in 1980. It's roughly 2 hours and 30 minutes long. And yes, I watched all 2 hours and 30 minutes of the movie. All of it. And today we're gonna be very, very careful and make sure I follow my notes, because this, like I said, psychological drama, and I can't really jump all over the place and make it make sense to you guys. So I'm gonna stick to my notes this time. So bear with me. This episode's probably going to be 30 to 40 minutes long. I'm sorry in advance. I'm gonna try to speed through most of it, but it's gonna be long. Anyway, so this movie is about a character named Jack Torrance, who becomes the winter caretaker at the isolated Overlook Hotel in Colorado. Hoping to cure his writer's block, he settles in along with his wife, Wendy, his son, Danny, uh, who pledged who plays by a psychic Peramontes, I think is how you pronounce that word. I might be saying it wrong. Y'all know I don't know how to pronounce every word correctly, and I'm gonna Google it later. Anyway, as Jack's writing goes nowhere and Danny's visions become more disturbing, Jack discovers the hotel's dark secrets and begins to unravel into a homicidal maniac hell bent on terrorizing his family. The man turned psycho is basically, in a nutshell, what they saying. He turned psycho. Um, the movie was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and once again, it's based off a Stephen King novel, The Shining. Um, the cast include Shelley Duvall played Wendy Torrance, the wife of Jack Torrance. She actually passed away this year, July 11th of 2024. Jack Nicholson, who played Jack Torrance, the husband of Wendy. Danny Lloyd, who played wait, is that man's name really Danny Lloyd? And his name was Danny in the movie? Am I tweaking? Dang, that's crazy. I didn't even pay attention to that. Yeah, this man's name is Danny Lloyd, and he played Danny Torrance in the movie. Interesting. He's the son of Jack and Wendy. Um, Scatman Crothers, he played Dick Halloran. He passed away back in '86, November 22nd of '86. Barry Nelson played Stuart Ullman. He passed away April 7th of '07. Philip Stone played Delbert Grady, who was the original caretaker of the hotel before Jack took over. He passed away June 15th of '03. And then you got Joe Turkel played Lloyd, the bartender. It said he died, but I couldn't find his death date. And then Annie Jackson, who played the doctor who Danny was seen by in the beginning of the movie before he went to the hotel with Jack and Wendy. She passed away April 12th of 2016. And then Tony Burton played Larry Durkin, who passed away February 25th, 2016. And then the extra cast that's semi important to the story is the twin girls Lisa Burns and Louise Burns, who played the daughters of Grady. Don't know what their names were because they were just the twins. Okay, so basically the movie opens up with us meeting Jack Torrance, who goes to meet Mr. Ullman, who is I believe the manager or runs the Overlook Hotel. Jack is going to go see him about a job as a caretaker for the hotel while the hotel was shut down because of the storm, right? The storm is supposed to be coming to Colorado. The hotel gets shut down. It goes through this every year, roughly 4 to 5 months. The hotel shut down until the storm is over with. Um, in the beginning there's a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of in your face what's going to happen. You just got to read between the lines. um Mr. Ullman tells Jack that isolation can be very bearsome on a family, and it can kind of make you get cabin fever and possibly make you hallucinate, basically is what he tells Jack. And Jack's like, oh no, this would be great for me. I'm trying to get my writing off the ground. I got this writer's block, so this would be great. Just give me a peace of mind, a peace of quiet, and I'll be able to focus on my writing. And Mr. Ullman isn't too sure about that, so he lets Jack know about what happened back in 1970 with a previous caretaker. And he tells him the story of the previous caretaker. I won't go too much into detail about that right off because I'm eventually spoil it sooner or later in the movie. Sooner or later in the podcast when I'm telling you about the movie. Uh, after you see that part about Jack, you pan over to Danny and Wendy, and Danny is not happy about going to this hotel because he has an imaginary friend named Tony who's telling him it's not a good idea for them to go to the hotel. It's not going to be safe. Bad things happen there. You don't want to go. And Danny's like, I don't want to go. So he's got these weird manic episodes, if you will, like his imaginary friend and him are having these conversations, and Wendy thinks that it's best to have a doctor come and see him, which is a doctor I mentioned to you earlier, played by Annie Jackson. Um, she goes to go see Danny. She pretty much tells Wendy there's nothing wrong with Danny. He's just a normal kid and nothing to be worried about. Soon as they get to the hotel, Danny sees the twin girls instantly. The weirdest thing ever. Just instantly sees these twin girls. No context to why he sees them. He just sees them, right? Um while the family's getting a tour around the hotel, learning everything about the hotel and the way this room, that room, this, that, and the third, um, Mr. Ullman asks Dick Halloran to take Wendy and Danny and show them the kitchen area, in which he's taking them on a tour. And Dick notices that him and Danny share something in common, but he doesn't speak on it in front of Wendy. He just notices it and doesn't say anything. And um, eventually, Mr. Ullman comes and grabs Wendy and takes Wendy with him. And then now you're left with Danny and Dick together sitting at a table. Danny's eating some ice cream or whatnot, and Dick's asking him, like, how long have you had this special ability? Like, how long did you notice that you had it? And Danny didn't want to talk about it at first, and he tells him that Danny ends up telling Dick that his friend who lives inside his stomach, or inside his mouth rather, um, is telling him not to talk about his ability. Well, Dick says something to Danny that explains why it's called The Shining. He tells him that they share um, this ability where they can have communications with people without actually talking, and it's only certain people who have that ability. And Dick was saying him and his grandmother used to have full blown conversations without even so much as talking. Like they didn't have to say anything; they just knew what was being said. It's like telepathy, like they're just communicating via brain to brain, if that makes sense. And uh, I believe that the term "the shining" comes from them being bright and different than the rest of the world. Like they have a gift that sets them aside from the rest. Well, um, Danny is told to ask, and I'm just assuming because Tony is his imaginary friend Tony that lives in his mouth be telling him to ask stuff. So I'm assuming that Tony told Danny to ask Mr. Holleran did something bad happen at the hotel because of the visions that he was having. And he doesn't, Mr. Holleran doesn't, tell him directly, yes, something bad happened here, but he does allude to the fact that people with their capabilities are able to smell and sense bad things that have happened, regardless if they happened a while ago. They still carry it. It still lingers for them to be able to, you know, have the connection with it. So he's basically in so many ways telling him that's why he can tell that something bad happened there, because he has a spiritual connection with it and he can see it. um he asks about room 237 and Dick tells him to stay away from that room. I'm presuming that that's the room that the previous caretaker, spoiler alert, that the previous caretaker took his family's life in. Even though in the movie Danny has visions of the twin girls dead in the middle of the hallway, but I'm presuming that maybe that's where the mother stayed or something like that. But someone died in that room. Something tragic happened in that room, and that's why Dick tells Danny to stay away from that room. Like, don't go near it. Stay away from it. Um, as time goes by, everybody clears out the hotel, and it's just Wendy, Jack, and Danny. It's just them three in the hotel. No one else is there. Well, Danny's the only one who can see this horrific stuff and see these people. He's the only one who can see it. None of the other two can see it right off. Well, as time progresses, you start to see when a snowstorm hits, you start to see Jack kind of start to change a little bit and become a different person. And Wendy tried to make a phone call. I don't know who she was trying to call, but she was trying to call out, and the phone lines were dead. and weren't working. So she reached out to what they call KDK1. I'm assuming that's the police department. She reaches out to them. They confirm that the phone lines are down, but she needs to keep the radio on for in case of emergency. She does what she's told. Now, like I said, throughout this process, Danny keeps having these visions and he just keeps seeing these little girls. And and he's being a normal kid. He got to take his bike with him. So he's riding his bike around the hotel um, and just having a good old time. Um, in his little vision with the twin girls, when he seen them in the hallway, they were trying to convince him that they were like, "Come play with us, come play with us," and Danny looking like, "Hell no, no, shawty," and he gets a snippet of them being dead, and he freaks out. Well, Danny eventually asks Jack, like, "You're not gonna try to kill us, are you?" But it's so much foreshadowing, like he already knows his daddy's gonna lose his mind. He's just trying to see if his daddy already done lost his mind with these questions he's asking. Um, After a while, like I said, Danny rides his bike around, but Danny wanted to go get. He asked his mom to go get his toys while his daddy was upstairs sleeping or whatnot. That's when he asked his daddy about if you're gonna kill him or whatever, or if you're gonna do something to him or whatever. While Danny's playing with his little toys and whatnot, the same tennis ball his daddy was throwing up against the wall rolls towards him, and he looks at it. He walks off. In that room 237, the door is wide open, and the key is in the door. So I don't know who unlocked it. I don't know if Jack unlocked the door. I don't know if one of the ghosts from the Hell's Past unlocked the door. It's never clear who unlocked the door, but the door is unlocked. So Danny goes in there. Um, when Danny goes in there, you start hearing Jack yelling and screaming and grunting and shit, while Wendy's downstairs in the kitchen doing whatever she called herself doing. She overhears. Oh no, she was in the kitchen. She was in the in I think the power room or something. Not the kitchen, the power room, I think. But she was doing something down there, right? And she's down there doing whatever she's doing. Really, seemed like to me she was doing Jack's job. What Jack was supposed to be doing, I think she was doing, because he was upstairs writing a book or whatever the hell he called himself writing. He wasn't really doing absolutely shit. And by the way, he was an asshole. Okay. And he was a asshole. But I'm gonna get to some notes in a second. I just want to recap the movie as fast as possible. Um, Anyway, she hears him screaming. She runs upstairs. She shakes him awake, and he tells her he had a dream that he that he killed them and chopped them up and shit. And while he's telling her that, he's sitting in his chair. He sits back in the chair, and Danny's walking towards them. She's like, "Everything's fine. Go upstairs. Go play." Nah, nah. She Eventually she realized Danny ain't listening to shit she got to say. Danny is spooked too. She eventually looks like Danny, sees he has a bruise on his neck, his shirt's ripped up, and everything else, and she automatically accused Jack of doing it because Jack had in the past, Danny had tossed his papers around or something like that, and he snatched Danny up to get him away from his stuff, and he ended up hurting Danny. It doesn't sound intentional. It sounds like a typical parent moment. You get frustrated with your kid, and you try to yank their little ass up, and he yanked him a little too hard, and he hurt Danny, whatever. And she, got talking her, bumping her gums, blaming him, or whatever case may be. Um, when that happens, Jack starts to see stuff next. He starts to hallucinate and see things in the hotel that aren't really there. Like a naked woman in a bathtub who turned out to be an old, dead, decrepit lady. Um, he just started seeing stuff. He started seeing Lloyd, the bartender, at the bar, even though the bar was completely shut down because once again, there's no one there, just them three. So the hotel shut down the bar and took all the liquor out. But he just mysteriously sees Lloyd, the bartender, and liquor, and he starts having these weird visions that things are there that aren't there. Eventually we see Dick pop back up, and because he starts to get concerned for the family because he knows what happened. So he's trying to get a hold of them, realizes that the phone lines is dead, reaches out to the police department, KD, K1, and tell them, reach out to the family. When they try to call out, Jack Crazy Tail Self, he goes and unplugs the radio receptors. Get them up out of there, basically. Y'all ain't getting a hold of them. um, when he I want to say, I think before he did that, I'm sorry, I do got to double back real quick because it's something I meant to tell you. Before he did that, Wendy tried to pre-warn him that something hurt Danny. She was like, he said he went into that room 237 and a woman tried to strangle him. And Jack was like, girl, have you lost your everlasting mind? Ain't nobody else in here but us. And I was with him at first. You know what I'm saying? Like, girl, what? But because I'm the viewer watching it, I know what she's saying is true. Something strange was going on. But the crazy thing is, it was not. I don't think it was any ghost in there strangling his little ass. Either he did it to himself or his crazy ass daddy did it. Somebody did it, and it wasn't no goddamn ghost. Anyway, um, when the door was wide open and Jack was in there with the naked lady and whatever, it was this horrible screeching sound. I'm not gonna lie, I had to mute it until I knew the screeching sound was gone because that was making my ears hurt. Danny and Dick was tripping, shaking and shit, twitching and shit. And, and the longer that door stayed open, the more they were reacting that way. I don't know what kind of spiritual connection them two was having, but it was a receptor connection going on. Once Jack shut the door and locked the door, it stopped, and they went back to normal. Dick called again to try to see if he can, if they got a hold to him. They didn't. At that point, Dick got concerned. Dick hopped on the plane and flew back to Colorado. Okay. In the meantime, Jack eventually sees, I think it's, what did I say, Mr. Grady's? Mr. Grady. I'm not even gonna worry about what I said his first name is. He eventually sees the ghost of Mr. Grady. And Mr. Grady tells him basically, I was once the caregiver here and I had to correct my daughters and I had to correct my wife. Correct, if you know what that means. And he's basically telling Jack, you're gonna have to correct your family too, if you know what that means. And I'm not gonna say how Mr. Grady came to play because I want y'all to watch the movie. I'm not gonna tell you everything. But I want you to watch the movie so you can figure out how so you can see how Grady came to play and go from there. Um, Excuse me. Why don't you start right now and get the fuck out of here? Pardon me, I got a text and I thought it interrupted the recording. Anyway, what was that? I told you about the radio receptors. Okay, so now we're gonna move forward. Um, and you might be seeing a clip of what I'm talking about popping up pretty soon. So Wendy realizes that something is wrong at this point. I don't know why it took her so long, but she realized something is tremendously wrong. And she goes downstairs to go look for Jack. And she does tell Danny to stay in the room that he was in and she was gonna lock the door and for him basically not to come out. So she goes downstairs, she's looking for Jack. She realized Jack isn't at his little keyboard, which like I said, when I go to my little notes and start talking about stuff, I'll touch base on things that bothered me in the movie. But anyway, she realizes he isn't at his typewriter, not keyboard, but his typewriter. So she starts going through his paperwork that he had, his papers that he had typed up on, and they all say the same thing. Which I don't remember verbatim what they said, but basically in so many words, he was telling her in his writing, it was basically saying Jack Jack was going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Jack was going cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Okay, he was losing it. And the more she's going through and she's seeing that it's the same thing, repetitive, 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 she starts to realize her husband has lost his everlasting mind. So now she's terrified of her husband. And he comes out of nowhere. Boom! Poof! Pops up on her goofy tail self while she's going through his stuff. And they start having this conversation about Danny. And, she tried to play it off and act like she forgot what she came down and talked to him about. But he knows that she came to talk to him about Danny. And he's like, "You want to talk about Danny? You want to talk about Danny? What we should do to Danny?" He's just being a weirdo. And basically, he starts, inching towards her. She's inching away from him. They eventually get to the staircase where she's going backwards up the stairs and he's going towards her. And this fool literally tells her, "I'm going to bash your fucking head in." I'm like, yo, buddy is tweaking. I'm like, hell no. Cabin fever can make you act like that. But yeah, he ends up telling her that. She like, oh, hell no. Oh. So she's swinging the bat. He coming up for her, trying to grab the bat from her. She hits him in his hand, I think, first with the bat. And he tries to go for it again. She back up, smack his goofy ass in the head with the motherfucker. And he come tumbling down the stairs. Tumble, tumble, tumble. She knocked him unconscious. She must have hit him hella hard, too. Because she managed to drag him from the staircase all the way downstairs to where the kitchen is, and she locks him inside the pantry. And he tries to play manipulation to get her to unlock it and let him out, but she ain't fall for it. And I was like, kudos to you, homegirl. But she thought she was gonna be able to leave him there and take off in the I think they call it a snowcat. And he was like, "Girl, please, you ain't leaving." That snowcat destroyed, and so is the radio, heifer. And she was like, "Oh, dang." Well, she realized she can't leave, so she just go upstairs and go sleep, leaving her crazy son and her crazy husband awake, and she just goes to sleep. She take a knife upstairs and go to sleep. Like that's gonna really do some. I'll get to that in a second. Um, while she's asleep, Jack ends up hearing the voice of Grady again, and Grady basically letting him know like, "You failed me, bruh. You feel me?" He like, "Nah, give me another chance, cuz. I'ma do right. I'ma do right." And he like, "All right, cuz," and unlocks the door magically. A ghost unlocks the door and allows this fool Jack out of the pantry, right? And little homie Danny see the knife on the table and the lipstick, and he grab them both, the knife and the lipstick, and he red rum. Nigga start saying red. Nigga start saying red rum out of nowhere, cuz. And he constantly saying red rum, red rum, red rum. And he writes it on the door. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Wendy had a little flash or a vision, if you will, of that same wording. Um, so when she seen it, she panicked. She freaked out. She grabbed Danny, and here comes Jack. Jack coming up the stairs, and he to the first door, and they in the bathroom. She didn't shut them in the bathroom and whatnot, and she opens up the window. She lets little homie out. You know what I'm saying? Little partner. She let him out. The whole time, don't forget, like I said, Mr. Hollerin, Dick Hollerin's on his way to them. He then got a hold of Larry Durkin and told him he needed a snowcat so he can get up to the Overlook Hotel. So he and the snowcat on his way to him while all this is going on. And like I said, Wendy opens the window. She lets Danny out the window. Her goofy tail self can't get the window all the way open, so she can't get out either. Well, I'm sorry, not either. She can't get out, but Danny got it. She was able to get Danny out, but she can't get out. So, you know what I'm saying? She in the bathroom with a knife, and Jack got an axe, and he, hew, hew, and the famous scene from this movie. Even if you've never seen the movie, you probably have seen this scene at least. And um yeah, so that's going on or whatever the case may be. And he hears the snowcat that uh, Mr. Holleran is driving. He hears it, so he stops trying to tear down her door and he dips out. Now, previously Mr. Grady did tell Jack that his son Danny was summoning. I'm not gonna say the word he said, but he basically told him his son was summoning a black man for help. So I don't know if maybe Mr. Grady told Jack he's here, and maybe that's why he stopped trying to tear the door down with Wendy in it. I don't know, but he ended up stopping. He goes downstairs and he's hunting. He hunting for Danny and he hunting for Mr. Holleran. Well, I'm not gonna say what happened to Mr. Holleran. You're gonna have to watch the movie to find out what happens with Mr. Holleran and Jack. But I'm not gonna say. Okay? We're gonna fast forward past that part. Now, then we fast forward past that part. Jack is now outside with Danny. Remember, Danny got out the window, so Danny outside, and Jack starts chasing Danny. Now, there's a maze in front of the hotel, and Danny runs through the maze, and Jack is chasing Danny through the maze. Now, Danny's a very smart child, very intellectual child, because he realizes that his daddy is following his footsteps. That's how he's able to keep up with him. So what Danny does in the movie, Danny goes so far up with his footsteps that he walks backwards and makes sure he stays inside his footsteps that he previously created. And then he backs all the way up into a little corner, covers up his tracks to show that he went back that way, and he hides while Jack's running around chasing his little goofy tail self. And during that process, Jack goes right past Danny and he goes looking for him. And Danny like, peace out, gotcha fool. He runs out. Okay, he gets out and he runs into his mama. They get in the snowcat that Dick Holleran brought, and pew, take off. They gone. Now it's unclear whether or not Jack died from a heart attack or hypothermia, but Jack eventually dies. Danny and Wendy get away, and Jack is sitting there frozen like an icicle in the snow with his crazy tail self. Um, what made me mad? I'm gonna start from kind of from the back about some things. Wendy took forever to get outside. It took her forever. I guess she was spooked out because she started seeing stuff too. She started seeing all kind of stuff that would have spooked anybody out if they would have seen it. But it took her forever to get outside to her son. For as long as she took, I'm surprised that Danny was able to survive that long because she took 30 years to get downstairs and get to her son. Took her forever. Now, one thing that I'm about to start my notes. Like I said, I think room 237 is the room that the original caregiver of the hotel back in 1970. I believe that's the same room he killed his family in. That's why I think that room has some significance. I think that's why, or maybe it's the room he killed himself in, maybe because he did kill himself. So maybe it's the same room. Because it's supposed to be vacant and no one's supposed to be able to go in there. Now, Jack was an asshole before the hotel took over his spirit. He was an asshole to her from the beginning because this butthole, he in there, I guess, working on his book or whatever, and she come in there to try to talk to him, cheer him up, and spend some time with him, and he like, get the hell out of here, get out of my face, leave it alone, like being a butthole for no reason. Like, dude, get over yourself. You got 5 to 6 months to write your book. You can spend one day with your wife. But no, he didn't want to. He wanted to be a butthole to her. He did. And then when Jack started giving those sinister looks, That's when Wendy should have been concerned. Because he started, after a while, he started just looking very sinister. As y'all seen in the random clips that I probably played throughout the entire podcast, he started looking very sinister. And that it's one scene in particular, I'm going to replay it again up here in the corner somewhere. But he just was looking sinister. And then when he was locked in the pantry, the way he was looking, I was thinking to myself, that's probably how my countertop look at me when I'm waiting on my microwave to finish warming up my food. But anyway, um, I think, and I could be wrong, but I think when Danny went into that room, instead of just closing the door, I think when he went into that room, he unleashed the demon, the satanic spirit or whatever it was. I think he unleashed it when he should have just closed the goddamn door back. But being a kid, he went in there when he wasn't supposed to and got his little ass hemmed up. He should have just closed the damn door. But he didn't. And when he came out with them bruises and wouldn't talk, I'm like, who did that to him? And I still believe it was either his daddy that did it or he did it to himself. But either way it go, it was not a ghost. I'm not buying that. Um, what made me mad is when the mama was telling Jack, like, a lady tried to strangle Danny. He said a lady tried to strangle him. That's why I said it didn't make sense. Because what lady? Unless he was, what if his mama did it? What if she had a little slip up too and I didn't think about that till now. Could have been the mama that tried to do it. But anyway, she ends up telling Jack, she did tell Jack about that Danny said that a lady tried to strangle him or whatever. But here's what made me mad. Why the hell would you leave your son? Because when she went to go tell Jack that, she left Danny. Why would you leave him? And you saying somebody in the hotel and then try to strangle him and you done left him upstairs and shit by himself. Like, come on now. That's that people stuff. That's what that is. That's exactly what that is. Um, I don't know how quickly or how strong of a hold the demonic spirit had of Jack, but I'm not sure how he didn't start noticing that something was wrong when he started seeing stuff that wasn't really there, and he would snap back to reality and realize it. You know, so I don't know. It threw me off. Um, I'm gonna tell you right now, Wendy and Dick Halloran are way better than me. Because I would have left Jack and Danny in there by their goddamn self. I would have been gone. Pew! I wouldn't have told Jack I was leaving. I wouldn't have said nothing. Him and that little boy can figure out them damn self. Matter of fact, I would have took my son. I take that back. I'd have took my son because my son, the little boy wasn't necessarily demonic or deranged or anything like that. It was just Jack. I would have took my son and I would have took myself and got the hell on up out of there. I wouldn't have said diddly dumb squat to Jack. I would have left his deranged ass in that hotel by himself. I wouldn't have said nothing. I would have got gone. Pew. And like I said, Dick Halloran, he better than me too. Because I'm all the way in Miami. I'm not coming back to Colorado because this crazy ass family don't want to listen. No. They just would have been another family of a tragedy, I guess. Because I wouldn't have went. I would have told the police, y'all need to go up there and get up there and find out what's going on because something wrong. That's what I would have did. I wouldn't have played Captain Save a Ho. No, sir. Not happening. They would have been saving themselves or the law would have came and helped them because I wouldn't have gotten involved. Um, why was why was Wendy swinging the bat like this, y'all? Who are you gonna hurt with swinging the bat like that? And that's how she was swinging it, y'all. She's swinging the bat like she ain't never swung a bat before. And I was like, I would have snatched the bat out of her hand just for her swinging at me like that. He took too long. I would have snatched the bat from her. Um, what? Okay, now remember I said that uh Wendy opened the window and let Danny out the window, and he was able to, she slid him on out there easily. Now, don't get me wrong, Wendy is skinny, but she also is a grown woman. So I don't know why she thought this much of a window opening was she was just gonna be able to slide out of. I don't. It didn't make sense to me why she thought this much space was going to work out for her. She didn't use her 2 cents good enough for me. Um. Oh, here's another thing. This is a spoiler alert because I'm gonna just go ahead and tell y'all what happened to Mr. Dick Halloran. Mr. Dick Halloran got with the axe. He got right up in here with the axe. And what made me mad, the reason I brought it up because it made me mad because why little Danny didn't tell Mr. Dick Hollering, hey cuz, you might want to get up out of there. Cause Buddy done lost it. He snapped. You might want to get up out of there. Instead, he outside hiding behind a snowcat. Why you ain't tell that old man not to go in there? He could have said something, but no. He let him get. Now, at the end of the movie, I did get a bit confused. And I've never read the book, so maybe that's why I'm confused. But at the end of the movie, there was well, let me go back a little bit. When not Dick, when Jack met Grady when he was hallucinating that the bar was open and Grady spilled something on Dick and he took him to the bathroom to clean him up. When they was having their conversation, Grady had told I keep saying Dick, I meant to say Jack. Grady had told Jack that because Jack was like, I know you were the caregiver and you were on the news for murdering your family. And Grady like, I don't remember that ever happening. I don't know what you're talking about. You tweaking. And he tell him like, you've always been the caregiver. He Grady does. Grady tells Jack like, you've always been the caregiver. I ain't never been the caregiver. That was you. And at the end of the movie, it does pan and show Jack at the 4th of July ball back in 1921. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, was this a flashback that we got to watch? Or, what exactly, like, and was Grady a make believe character in a book that was written about what Jack did to what Jack actually did do to his family or was going to do to his family? Like, there's so many unanswered questions, and like I said, maybe if I read the book, maybe I'll get the answers I'm looking for. But I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gave a movie a 10 out of 10, but I'm had to give The Shining a 10 out of 10 because that was a damn good movie. And I don't even like horror thriller movies like that. Like I'm not a big fan of them. They spook me real bad. But The Shining was a 10 out of 10. I would definitely go back and rewatch that movie again because it was very and I might recatch things that I might have missed when I rewatch it. But yeah, that was a good movie. It was a dope movie, really was. Um, like I said, that ending confused me though, so I'm not sure if Jack was a make believe character or if Grady was a make believe character. Because I'm starting to believe one of them were make believe in a book that was written about a murder that happened in 1971 or 1970, not 1971, but 1970. Because it makes sense. That would put him at roughly uh 59 years old at the time of the murders. So that it's possible that, or not 59 years old. I'm sorry, they put him somewhere in the 60s or 70s. I don't know, but it's possible. I don't know. I'm just that ending confused me, and like I said, maybe I need to read the books to get some clarity about it. But like I said, 10 out of 10 for me. Very great movie in my opinion. I should have known when it was a Stephen King novel turned movie that it was gonna be good. Um, like I said, this is episode 14, and I really do appreciate everyone who tunes in every week for a new movie break episode. I'm gonna keep cranking them out. Okay, they're gonna come out. This episode probably is extremely long, and I'm sorry, but once again, I appreciate everyone who watches it. Be happy, love, peace, laugh, have some joy, and thanks for tuning in with Tay one more again. And come back for some more. Peace out. Oh yeah. Happy Halloween.